Hi Aquarius. Welcome to July and welcome to Saturn retrograde in Pisces. Pluto too, right? Okay, so where have I been? Listen, everybody's being super rigid and they've been trying to tell you what to do for weeks now. By now, it's become a blur. By now, anytime somebody talks to you, it feels like they're trying to get you to do something that they think you should do. They have the answer, but you have to do what they say exactly the way they say it, or else it won't work. That could also be the fact that the sun is going to move across from you, then Mercury is there, then Venus is there. Everyone's imposing. So what do? Do I become just another part of that cacophony of voices that have your future mapped out for you? They know exactly the wrong decision you made. They know exactly what you should have done. But there's so many caveats that come with what they're saying. The most important being giving up control. Hey, yet another way for someone to try to get your control from you, your agency. Now, in terms of finances, we come out of a stressful period of uncertainty into a period of feeling very secure. And in fact, being able to make our decisions from a much more healthy place. When you're healthy enough to pay your own bills, you're healthy enough to make decisions about who you should or should not be with. Until then, it's kind of just a big codependency game, right? Financial and emotional. Okay. So this view that they want to impose, this has everything to do with Pluto, but it's their inner view. So along with them trying to impose it on you, you're also getting this like fascinating insight into how their minds work, how they must talk to themselves, what they really think about the world, what their true thoughts are on fate or luck. Do they think they're a lucky person? Do they think they're a beautiful person? The more they talk to you about what you need to do and what you need to fix, and the more they have spoken to you like this, the more you've just seen clearer and clearer through them, and that's good, because you've also got to learn, Aquarius, that you can be disillusioned with people and still love them. They're not going to always pass your purest tests. They're not. And yet to be flawed is to be human. You know, it's up to you if you want to stick to and hold on to someone's flaws or your own flaws. You're allowed, of course, but every time you choose to inflict somebody's past on them, I think we should be pretty clear and certain that the same thing will come for us. It'll happen to us too, because whatever sins we cover in others are the sins that God covers of ours. You know, the more we put people on blast, the more God puts us on blast. If you have pain and sorrow in your life right now, if you feel like people around you have done you wrong to the point where you realize that you've been holding on the most tight to the sword that's right in your heart, if you're there, if you feel like you finally come to that point, there's no point in going from being fixated on the person to being fixated on the pain. The fixation is the issue. Doesn't matter if you're fixated on the person or the pain. Being fixated is what needs to be looked at and handled. So for now, is it a healthy form of transference for you to become attached to the pain or the sorrow or the grief? I don't know, temporarily, but things like that, whoever knows how temporary it's going to be. Some people get lost in grief. You know, you've got to mourn and move on quickly. You've got to be disillusioned and still be able to love people and still move on quickly. You don't have to hate the people that you can now see clearly. You don't have to hate the people that you're not with. You don't have to hate the people or be upset with the people that led to these knives, and that there's no point. It all is just holding you back. And these retrogrades, boy, are they kicking your ass? Are they showing you exactly how all of this stuff holds you back? There is a way that Aquarians see their life. Yes, you can be neurotic. Yes, you can be a bit fanciful. But I think it's a mistake to forget how traditional you are as people. You want life to look a certain way from the outside, even if it's still a work in progress on the inside. It's important for you to appear and strive to genuinely become a happy, stable person with a happy, stable family, friend circle, support system, community, whatever version of it that you're into. Aquarians are very community-minded, and they are very aware of how they are viewed, how you are viewed. You're very aware of where the holes in your image are, just like you're very aware of where the holes are in other people's image. So there are many reasons why you could remain stuck right now. But I don't know how many of those reasons hold true by the end of the month. Let's look more at the astrology here. You're prone, because this situation is agitating. You're prone to be emotional. You're prone to jump to conclusions, be agitated. You can feel 3 of Swords, 4 of Pentacles, that there are certain, really soft spots that you have, sore spots that feel like they're being pushed purposefully, and it's maddening. So you may begin to think, why would someone want to throw me off how I am? Why would anyone want me to look not normal right now? Why would someone go out of their way to trigger me in such a deep and personal way? It's hard to trust people when you get treated like that, But you have to control yourself. You have to control yourself, because just like everybody else is telling on themselves with the things that they're saying, you're telling on yourself too. And how? If something happens and you get emotional and you get into a back and forth with somebody, you're fighting with somebody, especially if there is a living situation involved, a money situation, like a business situation. If you begin to argue or bicker with this person, it can turn into a huge argument. And really at the heart of the argument is you not being satisfied, and what are the things that you are not satisfied with. And this doesn't need to be a part of the equation. You can just as easily segue from whatever this uncomfortable situation begins as, whatever conversation it begins as, and steer it in a different direction and still get here within that same conversation without having to, throw your name out and then having to reel it back in, right? Which I get that you don't care, but still. So there's also this idea of you neglecting perhaps your sexuality or your sexual identity. You've been perhaps associating that part of you with something or some personality trait that takes away from you and makes you not as effective, not as smart. I don't know how to say this. When you don't feel heard, you will go and find people who don't hear you. And then after a few times of them not hearing you, you'll claim you're in love. It doesn't come up as a love card, but that's what's out here. Okay, let's keep going. Now, there's also a lot of paranoia and distrust between people. You guys are somewhere in the middle, but you know, Scorpios are the top. Just constantly paranoid, constantly checking, constantly looking, lurking. You have to... Okay. Now, okay, so what I was trying to say was when Mars is in Gemini, you're flirting, you're seductive, but you're also trying to keep score with somebody else and trying to get even. So those two things together is going to make you come up with this genius idea that perhaps getting even with the person you're keeping score with is best done by going and seducing somebody new. The problem here is that in July, this flirting and seduction is actually just veiled power plays. Again, we have a month where power is very central to the conversation you're having with the universe, with the people around you. You have so many different iterations all through July of what power looks like in your life, but also in the larger world. You see countries making power plays. You see politicians making power plays. You see your boss making power plays, or your client from your business, or you have a parent who is obviously overstepping the mark and obviously knows they're doing it and yet continues to do it, right? All of this is an opportunity. It's an opportunity to learn everybody's weaknesses, to learn everybody's tells, to learn exactly how to manipulate people instead of letting this energy bring the worst out in you and having it be your downfall. And again, how does that happen? What I wrote here is please don't try and keep score to get even. This will be your downfall. And also, don't toy with money. There's a lot of tension surrounding money, surrounding clients, surrounding work with you and the powers that be. They have this feeling that if they can financially rope you up, that you'll be less harmful. You have to be careful here, especially if they're associations and partnerships. That's what I mean about they. You know, there's tensions with authorities, there's misunderstanding with clients. You have to be diplomatic, but it's really difficult. You feel like there is a they, and you do feel like they are out to get you, or at least not pay you. Same fucking difference, okay? But this time is calling for you to be extremely diplomatic and, you know, approach everyone with a spoonful of sugar. And although, yes, it may be annoying, you'll get so much out of your time having done that. When you walk through the right doors with the right attitude, a lot is possible within a day, you know? So I think if you just find a way to keep getting what you want without getting in anybody else's lane and just staying in your own lane, you win. But the only thing that you have to deal with en masse is people who are losing their grip on the power structure. dangerous stuff, right? Okay, let's look at these cards real fast, and then we're going to go into the extended. Love you. Happy July. Hi, Aquarius. Welcome to the preview of your extended. Actually, it's just an extension of part 1 because I felt like I couldn't really explain what I wanted to without you guys looking at the cards. So here we are. So as you can see, there is tension. And there is so much that needs to be spoken about. And I feel like you have been very patient and you have been waiting, but now you're starting to run out of patience and you really want to have these big conversations, and your timing couldn't be worse, I'm sorry to say. So if you can avoid it, keep yourself from having, if you can avoid big conversations, especially when it comes to your significant others, do so. You know, if that means you need to like meditate for a few days or take a vow of silence or go away for a few days, I don't know. I know that's not constructive advice, but there's really not much you can do when you have to be around someone, or if you live with someone, or if you have to be around them a lot. There's not much that can keep you from getting into a fight if both parties are looking for a fight. And that's what happens when you avoid talking about the things that are important. So of course I understand you in wanting to now, especially when Mercury is across from your sun, wanting to say the thing and finally have the conversation. Now, just to point out, not that this is neither here nor there, and in the moment it may not even feel helpful. But I would like to point out that the situation that you're in, if you are in need of having a conversation with a significant other, the situation that you find yourself in is a situation that your people told you you would be in and you did not want to hear it. So it's a little bit of an I told you moment, but that's okay, right? Because your people love you. This is how you learn. You love yourself. These are just, right, growth experiences, learning opportunities, but it needs to be said and it needs to be heard by you that there are people in your life that saw these issues coming if you're with someone that you feel like you can't talk to, especially about certain things. Now, let's just talk about the elephant in the room. I don't think that it's possible to be in a relationship with an Aquarius without money being a very central factor in the relationship. It's not whether or not you have a lot of money. It's not even, ironically enough, it's not even how much money do you spend on me. It's not about that. It's more, it's a principle thing. How are we going to spend this money? Aquarian sees the same thing, feels the same way about time. How are we going to spend our time together? Are we going to do anything meaningful with our time and also together? Are we going to spend this time, this money, doing something meaningful with it? So, you know, you can find yourself wanting to have conversations, very, very emotional conversations where you feel like you can't control yourself. You can find yourself wanting to have these conversations and giving in, you know, to this very emotional nature because you just want to talk it out already, you know? For some of you, this is a manager. Others, this is a faculty member. Others, this is a spouse. It's someone that you see in a position of authority and you don't feel comfortable talking to them about this thing. And you really need to, because it's the crux of what's keeping you guys from having a genuine connection. Now, if you're one of those Aquarians who believe that, one of those Aquarians who believe that you can have a genuine connection with someone even though they don't know the truth. Maybe you can. But here's the tea. This is why I wanted to come back in the general, because I don't know if I can say it to your face. How long do you go not feeling seen and heard? How long do you let your desires, your vices, your vengeance, your rage, your anger, how long do you ignore it, neglect it, refuse to bring your consciousness to it, turn a blind eye to it? How long do you do that before you stop genuinely feeling heard by your own self? And then how far do we have to go from there to the devastating realization that we choose people who cannot hear us, not even don't hear us? Why, Aquarius, do you go out of your way to choose people who are not intellectually your equal? Is it perhaps partly because they can't hear you? They don't have the ears to hear you with? I walked around the other day with my nephews in the Metropolitan Museum of Art, and they commented on how different of a time it was when you're with someone who knows things about art, right? Your experiences are defined by what you know. How long do you not feel heard by yourself until you go chasing someone who refuses to hear you, even if they can? And then how much longer after that do you tear your heart out, have have all the pain, recover, come back, and then be like, now I understand? You have to feel seen and heard by you, or else anyone who comes into contact with you by definition will take advantage of you. And I don't think you've ever really thought about how denying your desires, your thinking, your feeling has kept you from being seen properly. Okay. I leave you with one more thing before we get into this very long extended, because we got fucking notes. We got notes. I leave you with one thing. The more balanced you are at this time and for the rest of the year, regardless of whether you have the tough conversations right now or not, the more balanced you are in your demeanor, in your reaction to things, in the modulation of your voice, the more credit you're going to get later. The more people will be able to see how it's always you that's been affected. It's crazy, right? Now, for those of you who are genuinely interested in Aquarius, did you hurt them? What did you do to them? Did you do something to them and now you're trying to apologize for it? Or are you actively putting them in danger by being dusty and not paying bills and not having enough money to afford them? Are you trading on their good graces and their good nature and just hoping they're not going to say anything about the fact that you are not contributing emotionally, financially, or intellectually? That's the other thing. If you feel like you can't find anything to talk to them about, genuinely consider the fact that they are completely bored with you, which means that you've now been put in a different category, which is where you get physically used but mentally they're not there with you anymore. So overall, I would say if you're trying to get the attention of an Aquarius and they're not giving you the time of day, it's better just to hang it up instead of trying over and over and over again. Because the truth is, you can try over and over again and they may even, give you a shot, but they'll never respect you. And once you lose the respect of an Aquarius, it's all downhill from there. They may fuck with you for years to come after that, but it'll be nothing but transactional. There'll never be anything there, not for real. And I know that's really hard to hear, but they're never going to tell you because they have a hard time admitting how extreme they are, even to themselves. They're emotionally very extreme. When they love you, they really, really, really love you. So if you're on that edge where you don't know if they love you or not, just give them a little space. Send them a text, hey, just thinking about you, but you know what? Take your time, take your space. And if you don't want to do that, don't do anything. Don't say anything. They'll come back around and they'll probably appreciate you staying out of their way. Because this Pluto, Saturn nonsense that's happening right now, I know we all feel it, but the Aquarians feel it a lot, a lot, a lot. Any karma that you have in terms of you doing them dirty that you want to correct right now, that blade is real sharp right now and it cuts really deep. Maybe today or tonight or right now is not the time. I would try back in the fall. Okay, I'll see you in the rest of the extended. I love you.